All right, here we go. So let me get that thing started. Okay. So the main thing I want you to remember about Zora Neale, well, there are a couple of things. Okay, in terms of her bio, all right, probably one of the things that you marked as being interesting is really, I think, awfully tragic. I mean, she died, and what was her financial status when she died, y'all? Yeah, she has no money, and she doesn't have, I guess, friends that have the money either who are able to mark her grave. So here is a woman who had been incredibly successful, okay? She was not just an author, but she was an anthropologist. I mean, she was incredibly well educated, well known, famous even. But something went down because by the time she dies, she is penniless and buried in an unmarked grave. How tragic is that? I mean, that's about as bad as it gets, right? So here's what happens. First off, her work, she'd been really famous, very popular, okay? She's a Harlem Renaissance writer, meaning that she's friends with folks like Langston Hughes, okay? She'd even written, projects alongside Langston Hughes. But somehow her work falls out of favor. And from what I can tell, and the reading I've done, it's because her picture of African American men, especially, is not real pretty. Okay? There's a lot of negative views of men, African American men, in this book. Although there are also some really nice African American men that are in this book as well. So she falls out of favor with the powers that be, and her work, goes out of print. So by the time she dies, she is forgotten and broke, okay? Well, here's the thing. Your work may be currently out of print, but there are still old copies laying around, right? And so in schools across the country, there were, people studying writers and studying American Lit who had found copies of her work, and one was a woman named Alice Walker, okay? Now, Alice Walker, you may know that name because she is very famous for writing The Color Purple. Have y'all heard of that title before? Excellent, excellent, excellent book, okay? The Color Purple. So Alice Walker becomes a very famous writer in her own right, but as a student, as a grad student, she decides, I'm going to go find Zora Neale Hurston. Now, Zora Neale Hurston had been dead for 13 years, okay? So she's going to go find her grave because she has heard that she has died, but she doesn't know where she's buried. So she treks down to Florida and starts questioning folks in the town where Zora Neale Hurston lived. I believe it was Eatonville. And she finds out where this woman is buried. And she writes about the experience in a short story that goes out in a national publication, a national magazine. It's read by many, 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 and it brings attention back to Zora Neale Hurston. So through Alice Walker, we rediscover this fantastic writer. You are going to enjoy this book. It's usually the top or maybe second favorite behind Gatsby of the year, okay? So I think that you'll really enjoy this. Zora Neale Hurston is really poetic in her voice, and that may not sound fun, but it's the language is beautiful, okay? So I don't have much time. Let me start with the opening page, okay? She says, ships at a distance have every man's wish on board. For some, they come in with the tide. For others, they sail forever on the horizon, never out of sight, never landing until the watcher turns his eyes away in resignation, his dreams mocked to death by time. That is the life of men. Okay, so the horizon's a big symbol in this story, all right? And in this opening paragraph, she says, men's dreams are often like a ship on the horizon. Every once in a while, the ship comes into shore. But 9 times out of 10, it stays out there on the horizon within view, but out of what? Reach.
Oh, yeah, I feel that.
That's the nature of man. Yeah, we all feel that right now, don't we? She contrasts that to women. She says, now women, Women forget the things they don't want to remember, and they remember everything they don't want to forget. The dream is truth, and they act and do things accordingly. So you can already tell that she's a little biased, right? She says men are dreamers, women are realists. Okay? So the beginning of this was a woman, and she'd come back from burying the dead. Not the dead of sick and ailing with friends at the pillow and the feet. She'd come back from the sodden and the bloated, the sudden dead, their eyes flung wide open in judgment. So we don't know much about this character, but we know that she has just buried the dead, and whoever she buried was taken in what manner? Were they ready? No. Okay? Now, y'all don't wait on me. I'm going to read more of this to kind of get your feet under you, but you need to get started because your first quiz is Monday. Your research essay is actually due Friday before you go to bed, but don't wait till Friday night. Don't spend your Friday night finishing up this research paper, okay? Go ahead and get it knocked out. We'll talk more about this tomorrow, so if you haven't gotten that book yet, get your hands on it, okay? Almost every senior at this school read it last year, and you might be able to sweet talk them into their copy, okay? All right, good stuff, good stuff. Now, sooner or later, we're going to get back to Whitman. He is my favorite, but I just hadn't had time for him yet, so we'll have to make that happen soon.